I never told anyone the real reason I counted the days. Not because I missed home. Because I had a secret that was growing bigger every single morning. My name is Brenna Cross. Petty Officer First Class. United States Navy. 8 months deployed. 8 months of cold video calls, bad connections, and falling asleep to the sound of the ocean instead of my husband's breathing. Every night before I closed my eyes, I placed my hand over my stomach and whispered the same thing. We're almost home, little one. The day I landed, I turned on my phone before the plane even stopped moving. One message. Just one. From Callan. Please come straight home. Don't stop anywhere. I need you. No emoji. No explanation. Just those words sitting on my screen like a stone. I called him immediately. He answered before it even rang once. Brenna. Not a question. Like he had been holding his breath and finally let it go. I'm home, I said. A long silence. Then, quietly, thank God. I smiled the whole drive. 40 minutes on the highway, windows down, Virginia air filling my lungs. In my backpack sat a small gift bag. Inside that bag, a tiny pair of navy blue baby socks. I had carried them across 3 time zones. Through 2 layovers. Through 8 months of secrets. Tonight, I was finally going to tell my husband he was going to be a father. I pulled into the driveway. Before I reached the porch, the front door flew open. Callan ran toward me like the house was on fire. He didn't say a word. He just held me. Both arms. Like he was afraid I'd disappear again if he let go. I missed you, he whispered into my hair. I missed you too. For 30 seconds, the whole world disappeared. Just us. Just this. Then the front door opened again. And the warmth in my chest turned cold. Lorraine Pierce. My mother-in-law. She stood on the porch with crossed arms and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. She looked at my uniform. Then at the gift bag in my hand. Then at me. And instead of, welcome home, she said, so, are you finally ready to stop pretending the Navy matters more than your family? Nobody moved. 8 months away. 8 months of missing everything. And the first words I heard in my own home were those. Callan stepped in front of me. Not dramatically. Not with raised voice. Just stepped forward. Quiet. Steady. Decided. Mom. One word. But it carried everything. Not today. Not her. Not in this house. Lorraine crossed her arms. I'm only telling the truth. No, Callan said calmly. You're trying to start an argument the minute my wife walks through the door. She looked away. I touched Callan's arm gently. It's okay. He shook his head. No, Brenna. It's not. Then he looked at his mother one more time. My wife just came home after serving this country. The first words she hears in this house should be welcome home. Lorraine said nothing. She just walked back inside. Callan picked up my bag. Come on. The house smelled like fresh coffee and vanilla candles. Like every memory I had carried with me across the ocean. The moment our bedroom door closed behind us, Callan didn't speak. He just held me again. Longer this time. Quieter. I've been counting every single day, he whispered. So have I. Then I smiled. Reached into my backpack. Pulled out the small gift bag. I brought you something. He laughed. You always bring something. Not like this one. He opened it slowly. Moved the tissue paper aside. Looked down. A tiny pair of navy blue socks. He stared at them. 1 second. 2. 3. Then his eyes came up to mine. And I watched the exact moment he understood. He set the bag down very gently on the bed. Pulled me into his arms. His shoulders were shaking. We're going to be parents, he whispered. Yes, I said. We are. We laughed. We cried. For a few beautiful minutes, nothing else existed. Then someone knocked on the door. Before Callan could answer, Lorraine walked in. Her eyes went straight to the socks on the bed. She looked at me, then at Callan. A slow smile crossed her face. But it wasn't warm. It was calculating. Well, she said quietly. This certainly changes things. Callan frowned. What does that mean? She looked directly at me. I think we should talk, before either of you gets too excited. I felt something sink inside me. She wasn't here to celebrate. She was here to do what she always did. Find a crack. And push. Brenna, she began carefully, how far along are you? 9 weeks. So you found out while deployed? Yes. And you waited until today to tell my son. Because I wanted to tell my husband face to face. She smiled. You expect me to believe that? The room went completely silent. Callan's jaw tightened. Enough. Lorraine ignored him. A baby conceived around a deployment raises questions. I felt my stomach twist. Not because I doubted myself. Because I couldn't believe a woman would say those words to a pregnant wife who had just come home. Callan took my hand. My wife doesn't owe anyone an explanation. Lorraine looked at him. I'm your mother. And Brenna is my wife. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. If you make her feel unwelcome in this house again, this conversation is over. For the first time since I had known her. Lorraine looked genuinely shocked. She picked up her purse. I'll give you two some space. She walked to the door. Stopped. Without turning around, she said softly, I hope this baby brings your family happiness. It almost sounded kind. Almost. Then she left. I sat on the edge of the bed. Callan knelt in front of me. Look at me. I did. You never have to defend yourself. Not to her. Not to anyone. Tears filled my eyes. I'm worried the stress isn't good for the baby. He gently placed his hand over mine. Then my job from today is simple. What? Protecting both of you. The next morning I woke before sunrise. Old Navy habit. I walked downstairs to make coffee. And found an envelope on the kitchen counter. My name written across the front. No stamp. No return address. Just one line inside, before you trust anyone, read this. I almost threw it away. Anonymous letters never brought anything good. But I unfolded it anyway. Ask your husband why his mother has been living in your house for 2 months. She didn't come because she needed help. She came because she wanted control. That was all. No proof. No name. I heard footsteps. Callan walked in wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. He smiled when he saw me. Old Navy habits. I handed him the letter without a word. He read it. His smile disappeared. He let out a slow breath. I should have told you everything sooner. My heart dropped. There's more. Yes, he said quietly. A lot more. We sat at the kitchen table. He checked the hallway first. Then he told me everything. 2 months after I deployed, Lorraine lost her house. Not sold. Lost. The bank took it after she stopped paying the mortgage. She begged Callan not to tell me. Promised she'd stay just a few weeks. Find somewhere new. Get back on her feet. Instead, she slowly started acting like our home was hers. New curtains. Rearranged furniture. Missing photographs. I asked her to leave 3 times, Callan admitted. Every time she cried and said she had nowhere to go. I reached across and took his hand. You have a kind heart. He smiled tiredly. Sometimes too kind. Just then Lorraine walked into the kitchen. Her eyes landed on the empty envelope. Something flashed across her face. Callan looked at her calmly. Mom, I think it's time we talked about when you're moving out. She stared at him. You're asking your own mother to leave? I'm asking you to respect our marriage. So this is her idea. Callan shook his head. No. She looked at me anyway. I knew the day he married a Navy woman she'd take him from me. I met her eyes. I have never once asked Callan to choose between us. Maybe you didn't have to. Callan stood up. Mom, stop blaming Brenna for my decisions. His voice stayed gentle, but his words were firm as walls. I love you. You will always be my mother. Lorraine's face softened for just a moment. But Brenna is my wife. And this is our home. Where am I supposed to go? She whispered. Callan had already thought about that. I spoke with Aunt Denise. She has a guest apartment. She's happy to have you while you find a new place. Lorraine stared at him. You already planned this. I wanted to make sure you had somewhere safe before I asked you to leave. She stood slowly. I need some air. The back door closed softly behind her. Callan let out a long breath. I took his hand. You okay? I hate hurting her. I know. But I won't let anyone hurt you. That afternoon we drove to my first prenatal appointment. Callan couldn't stop smiling in the waiting room. Every few minutes, he'd look at me and laugh for no reason. When the technician placed the ultrasound probe on my stomach, the room went completely quiet. Then thump thump, thump thump, thump thump. Our baby's heartbeat. Callan's tears came before mine. He squeezed my hand so gently I almost didn't feel it. "That's our baby," he whispered. "Yes," I said. "That's ours." When we came home that evening, Lorraine was gone. All her suitcases. All her things. Just one note left on the coffee table addressed to Callan. He read it slowly. Then read it again. "Callan, I never wanted to lose my son. Maybe I held on too tightly. I'm staying with Denise for a while. Don't worry about me. Take care of your wife and your baby. Love, Mom." He placed it back on the table. "How are you feeling?" I asked. He thought about it honestly. Relieved. Then and sad. Both at the same time. That was okay. That was real. That night we ate dinner in complete peace for the first time since I came home. Callan pulled out a notebook. "I've been making a list." "Of what?" He slid it toward me grinning. "Baby names. Dozens of them. Each one with a little note beside it." I laughed out loud. "We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl." "I know." He shrugged happily. I just got excited. That weekend we painted the baby's room sage green. Callan insisted on building the crib himself. It took 4 hours. He installed one side backward. Twice. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. He looked at me with paint on his nose and smiled. I've missed that laugh. So have I. Then one afternoon my phone rang. My commanding officer. My request for a shore-based assignment had been approved. More time at home. More time with my family. When I told Callan, he pulled me into a hug without saying a word. Then, a car pulled into the driveway. Not Lorraine. Aunt Denise. She stepped out holding a gift bag. But her face carried something heavier than a gift. She had news. We sat together in the living room. Denise twisted the strap of her purse. "I saw Lorraine this morning." Neither of us spoke. "She's physically fine," Denise said carefully. "But emotionally, she's struggling." Callan looked at his hands. "She feels like she lost her place in your life," Denise continued. Then she looked at him gently. "Callan, your mother built her entire life around being needed." A long pause. "When you got married, she didn't know how to let go." I thought about everything. The comments. The criticism. The control. None of it was acceptable. But sitting there, I finally understood where it came from. Not excusing it. Just understanding it. Denise turned to me. "Brenna, she was wrong to treat you the way she did." "I know. But she already loves this baby." Callan reached for my hand. "What do you think?" I looked at the baby blanket Denise had brought. Soft white with tiny blue stars. I thought about what kind of world I wanted our daughter to grow up in. "I think," I said slowly, "boundaries and forgiveness can exist at the same time." Callan smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say." A week later I sent Lorraine a message. "You can come over Saturday afternoon. We'll talk. No arguments. No accusations. Just honesty." She replied in seconds. "Thank you. I'll be there." Saturday came. I baked blueberry muffins. Callan cleaned the living room. Neither of us wanted it to feel like a confrontation. At exactly 2 o'clock the doorbell rang. Lorraine stood on the porch holding a small paper bag. She looked nervous. I had never seen her look nervous before. "Come in," I said. For a moment nobody spoke. Then Lorraine looked at me. And for the first time, she didn't have an angle. No strategy. No sharpness hiding behind a smile. Just a woman standing in her son's doorway with tired eyes. "Brenna." Her voice was different. Smaller. "I'm sorry. I judged you because I never understood your life." She looked at my Navy photograph on the shelf. I saw the uniform. Then back at me. I never saw the woman wearing it. My eyes filled with tears. I kept telling myself that if Callan needed me more, I wouldn't feel so alone. Her voice cracked. "Instead, I pushed both of you away." Callan walked over quietly and put his hand on her shoulder. "I'm still your son." She nodded through tears. Then she turned back to me. "I don't expect you to trust me overnight. I don't, I said honestly. She nodded. I wouldn't either. She handed me the paper bag. Inside was a hand-sewn baby quilt. Small squares of fabric in soft yellows and whites. I started making this while you were deployed, she said softly. I wasn't sure I'd ever get to give it to you. I ran my hand across it. Every stitch careful. Every stitch quiet. Thank you, I whispered. She smiled through her tears. I hope one day your baby knows me as her grandmother. She paused. Not as the woman who made your life harder. I looked at Callan. Then back at her. That depends on the choices we all make from today. She nodded. I understand. Before she left, Lorraine stopped at the door. I'll wait for invitations from now on. Callan smiled. That's a good place to start. A month later. 20-week ultrasound. The technician smiled at us. Your little one is ready to surprise you. Callan gripped my hand. Would you like to know the gender? We looked at each other. Yes, we said together. The technician laughed softly. Congratulations. She pointed to the screen. You're having a little girl. Callan covered his face with one hand. Shoulders shaking. Tears falling. A daughter, he whispered. I laughed and cried at the same time. A little girl. That evening we invited Denise and Lorraine to dinner. When dessert was finished, Callan stood up. We have news. He placed the ultrasound picture on the table. Lorraine leaned forward, adjusted her glasses. Then her hands began to shake. She looked up at me. It's. I nodded. Your granddaughter. She held the picture like it was made of glass. May I? Yes. For a long time she just looked at it. Then quietly, thank you for letting me be here. I smiled. Being here is a gift. She nodded. And for the first time, I believed she understood what that meant. Later that night, Callan and I sat in the baby's room. Crib finished. Lorraine's quilt folded inside it. Denise's blue star blanket in the rocking chair. Sage green walls glowing softly in the lamplight. It finally feels real, I said. It does. Callan reached into his pocket. Pulled out a small wooden frame. Inside it was our very first ultrasound picture. Across the bottom, for words engraved in simple letters, our greatest homecoming ever. I couldn't speak. After everything. After 8 months away. After the arguments and the tears and the long road back to each other. Those 4 words said everything. A year later our home looked different. Baby toys on the living room floor. Family photos filling the hallway. Denise every Sunday for lunch. Lorraine always calling before she came. Always respecting every boundary. Slowly, carefully, becoming the grandmother our daughter deserved. One evening I stood in the backyard, watching Callan lift our little girl into the air while she laughed so hard she could barely breathe. He caught my eyes over her head. Smiled. Happy? I looked at our daughter. At our home. At this man who never once stopped standing beside me. I am, I said. The Navy taught me discipline. Resilience. Courage. But my family taught me something the Navy never could. Coming home isn't the moment your feet touch the ground. It's the moment you realize the people around you are worth every mile you traveled to get back. And standing there in that backyard, watching my husband and my daughter laugh in the evening light, I knew without a single doubt, I was exactly where I belonged.